What's up, humans? I'm Enzo. Welcome to Frequency. Now, it is fair to say that if we are looking at the verbiage from the Bible in a literal sense, meaning we take the words at face value and believe the stories to be truth as they are without conveying some sort of mysterious or hidden meaning to be uncovered, well, the Revelations absolutely takes the crown of insanely bizarre stories. And it is single-handedly responsible for literally scaring the hell out of people. Now, luckily for us, the Bible itself is a mystical book. It is filled with cryptic knowledge and these seemingly senseless stories of whales swallowing men for 3 days or small men fighting giants with slingshots and 5 rocks actually do have a deeper meaning. And turns out they're not just irrelevant tales that are in there for no reason. Quite the contrary. Now, every story in any sacred scriptures is there to convey something meaningful, meaning they're there to help you with the advancement of your soul's journey back towards the Creator. And it doesn't matter if you're reading from the Bible or the Bhagavad Gita, if you read a story that makes zero sense at face value, chances are that you've missed the deeper meaning and the understanding of what is actually being taught. Matthew 11:15 states, "He that has ears to hear, let him hear." Most of us hear with our ears. Few actually hear in the form of understanding, and this is why the narrow path is grossly misinterpreted. Now, with the Bible being a cryptic doctrine, and unfortunately suffering from some human intervention that has perverted the real meaning somewhere along the way, by far the most fascinating and mystical book in the Bible is Revelations. Within Revelations alone, we are told stories of angels coming to destroy many things. We also have the 4 horsemen, and we need to listen out for the trumpets. Let's not forget about the 7 seals, and supposedly there's 144,000 of us that are chosen with the seal of God in their foreheads. Now, we also have an insane amount of torment coming our way. And of course, be on the guard for the beast, the 666, because after all, we don't want our names removed from the book of life. So, there's a lot to unpack esoterically within Revelations. However, the simple revelation may not be what you think. The actual revelation is that you must overcome yourself with your very own ego and its lower nature attributes. Revelations is a book about the battle within yourself. It is also a book of astrology, but most importantly, it's instructions. You must slay the giant within, and you must seek a higher, more spiritual awareness. Now, anyone who is on the long journey of enlightenment or liberation will tell you, and you may have experienced yourself, about the war zone that occurs when the ego is faced with the truth of its reality. That truth is that the ego is a fraud, and that the higher self is the actual real self. And this is how the ultimate battle of the ego versus the real self begins. And my friends, welcome to the internal Armageddon. Now, there's no literal Armageddon coming, and the torments mentioned in Revelations are like everything else, an allegory, or as Yeshua himself calls it, a parable. So we're going to walk through some of these mystical concepts that you will find in Revelations. And my goal is just to help shed some light on a beautiful yet deeply misunderstood piece of information that you can use right now to transform your life in this moment. We really got to stop thinking that something great happens only after you die. It's time that we live in the present moment, and it's time that you uncover who and what you are. Because what you are is a divine spark of the Creator. We are all spiritual beings having a human experience. Completely random fact here, but the actual definition of the word revelation is a surprising and previously unknown fact, especially one made in a dramatic way. So let's dive into this drama and uncover some surprising truth. First, as mentioned, the book of Revelations is a story of overcoming yourself. It is also deeply tied in with the 7 chakras. Yes, the Bible has references to the chakras. In fact, most religious doctrines intertwine, and at some point, they all lead to the same destination. And the Bible, like other sacred texts, is written in code. It is covered with symbolism, numerology, and deeper esoteric meanings. Now, to elaborate on the chakras, we will need a general understanding of some basic numerology and symbolism. So let's start with numbers and their meanings, which we will find in Revelations. Most of us are familiar with the elusive number of the 144,000 chosen ones that we will find in Revelation 7:4. It states, "And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel." Now, some perceive the 144,000 to have some sort of mission to help prepare the world for the second coming of Christ. But some people also perceive Israel to be literally Israel, the nation and the people. However, both are not literal and both have a deeper meaning. Like many things in the Bible, you have to peel back the layers to get to the actual meat and potatoes of what's being said. Then you will see that these stories are not what they seem. I mean, for example, Jesus, his name is Yeshua. Secondly, his last name is not Christ. He became the Christ when he fulfilled the mission of embodying Christ consciousness as an incarnated being. Just how Siddhartha Gautama became the Buddha after he was enlightened. His name was not Buddha. Now, the actual ascended man that walked the earth as Yeshua, unfortunately, is not returning in the clouds on a white horse. I'm sorry, but that's a metaphor. However, what Yeshua demonstrated to the world, which was embodied Christ consciousness, is returning. Actually, it's already here, and it's happening right now. But as Yeshua mentioned himself after his resurrection, first, we must find that man with a pitcher of water. Luke 22:10 says, "Behold, when you have entered the city, a man will meet you carrying a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house that he enters." Now, this statement has significant meaning not only for us, but for our planet, because Earth is undergoing a transition into the astrological star sign of Aquarius, which happens to be represented by a man carrying a pitcher of water. Now, after Yeshua was crucified and no longer incarnated here on the earthly plane, there were many talks about his return in roughly 2,000 years, which just so happens to be about the exact same timeline of the transition of Earth into Aquarius from Pisces. Now, Pisces is represented by two fish. This is why Jesus, who was a member of the Essenes, was also a vegetarian, had stories of him fishing in his journeys, even though he did not eat or harm any living animal. Now, in case you are questioning if the Bible is actually astrology based, let me remind you what it says right in the beginning. Genesis 1:14. "And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and seasons, and for days and for years." Now, it is foolish to think that the stars and the planets above have nothing to do with us, just as it is foolish to think that we are all alone in this infinite creation on a mere speck of a planet. But I digress. Back to Revelations. Now that we have some understanding with our relationship to the stars, and we can remove the idea of Jesus himself coming through the clouds, what does the 144,000 really mean? Now, here we must look at the chakras themselves. Now, the chakras are spinning energy centers that correspond to nerve centers and major organs in our bodies. These affect our well-being. Now, if you look at this chakra chart, you will notice that each chakra is represented by a lotus flower with a varying number of petals and colors. Of course, like everything else, each of these has a significant meaning. Even the choosing of the lotus flower itself has a significant meaning, because the lotus can flourish beautifully in hostile conditions. It is symbolic because we must flourish and bloom regardless of our own hostile conditions. Now, the colors of the lotus flower petals of each chakra represent an energy type. These are known as the 7 light rays, and we are going to have an entire video about this. Now, another thing to notice is the chakra colors line right up with the colors of the rainbow. Good old Roy G. Biv. It is indeed all connected. Now, to keep this video specific and relevant, I won't go into too many details on the chakras themselves because there is plenty of info all over that on YouTube. But what we do need to pay attention to is the number of petals on each chakra. Again, everything represents and means something. This entire planet is a giant puzzle of the divine. Now, starting with the root chakra, and working our way up to the top, we can see that the bottom lotus flower has 4 petals. The sacral chakra has 6 petals. The solar plexus, 10. The heart chakra has 12. The throat chakra has 16. The third eye actually has 96 petals, but it is represented by 2, and it is twice as powerful as all the lower 5 chakras. Now, lastly, we have the crown chakra, which is 1,000 times more powerful than all the lower chakras, and is thus represented by 1,000 petals. So if we add up the 6 chakra petals that physically reside in our bodies, it will look like this. 4 plus 6 plus 12 plus 16 plus 96 is 144. So we come up with the sum total of 144 petals. Now, in order to unlock the crown chakra, all the lower physical chakras must be unblocked. The crown chakra does not reside as an organ in our body. This is solely a spiritual chakra. Now, once the opening of the crown chakra is achieved, then you could take the 144 petals of the other lower 6 and multiply that by the 1,000 petal crown chakra, since the crown is 1,000 times more powerful, and you will get, you guessed it, 144,000. Now, the chosen 144,000 is not some special group of souls specifically chosen by God to help save the world from Armageddon. The 144,000 can be anyone who chooses to overcome their own lower nature and egoic desires and unlocks their chakras fully. The sealed mark of God on the forehead actually just refers to the pineal gland, which is activated by the lower chakras. And let me remind you, in case you forgot, what the Bible says about the pineal gland, which is essentially a third eye. Matthew 6:22, the light of the body is in the eye. If therefore thine eye be single, thy whole body should be full of light. Now, there's no mistake in that scripture. The single eye or the third eye is not some foreign concept for religions outside of what Jesus taught. The teachers of traditional Christianity, for whatever reason, have made this out to be something evil. Please, do not listen to them. You do not need them whatsoever. If you can listen to anybody, listen to Yeshua himself, not those who are confused by what he was really teaching. You don't need preachers. You don't need a church. You don't need a guru. All you need to do is to go within yourself to find the kingdom of heaven. And in case you need a reminder as to what the Bible says on this, Luke 17:21, neither shall they say, lo here, or lo there, for behold, the kingdom of heaven is within. But it doesn't stop there. Let's understand that numbers have significant meanings. There's literally a book in the Bible called Numbers. Now, the creator of the universe does not talk to us with common languages as we may assume. I mean, we humans can't even communicate with all of the other humans because we have language barriers and limitations. So this is why we must have symbols, signs, and numbers to communicate back and forth with the divine. Now, sometimes these same symbols and numbers can mean different things to different individuals or groups. Doesn't mean one's right and one's wrong. It just means the perceptions are different. Both may very well be truth. Metaphysics, esoteric knowledge, and the mystical nature of things truly is an infinite rabbit hole of never-ending understanding. Much like the universe itself, these things don't really have an end. They're infinite. And I can't tell you how many times I have learned something, thought I understood it, then later learned the same thing from a different perspective and realized the truth in both of the perceptions are accurate. And somehow they contradict one another. So if I could toss in some learned advice here, do not limit yourself to any particular beliefs. You will never have all the answers, and your source of truth is just that. It's yours and yours alone. Anyway, let's talk about some numbers. The numbers 1 through 9 have a significant meaning. Now, there are other numbers and master numbers, but for relevancy, let's keep this super simple. Now, this is not going to be a numerology teaching, and honestly, there are more qualified people than myself to deep dive into these topics. If you want more information on that, go to the playlist, find the numerology section, knock yourself out. Now, all of these meanings change depending on who you ask and what they have learned. However, we are just going to talk about a couple numbers, super simple, straightforward, just so that we can decode a little bit more about what is being said in Revelations. So the meanings here that I want to focus on is the number 6, which is man and man's lower nature attributes, really, and the number 9, which is representative of consciousness, usually associated with a higher state. So with that in mind, let's look at the 144,000 in another way. Go through the numerology process of adding all the numbers together until we find a single digit root number. It will look like this. 1 plus 4 plus 4 plus 3 zeros is 9. Now we just learned that 9 represents consciousness. This number 9 representation of consciousness, again, is usually a higher state. Now what is represented by the number 6 is man. More specifically, the lower qualities of said man. This is the animal nature and the egoic personalities of humanity. Now, we could contemplate this all kind of ways. For example, the round part of the 9 kind of looks like a head. It's facing up to the heavens. Think of it metaphorically as higher states of awareness. 6, on the other hand, is upside down with the head facing down towards the ground, because it's representing the lower qualities of man, and the lower nature is directed at earth as opposed to the heavens. Now, let's come back to the 144,000 and the number 9 of consciousness after we dive a little bit more into the number 6. Because we have this number of man, which is 6. Then we have this number of the beast, which is 666. So does this mean that as soon as 3 men, each represented by 6, are together, then that 666 and Satan is there? No, that is dumb logic, right? Not any more so than trying to use logic whatsoever when you're trying to understand these things. They are mysteries for a reason, and they are not meant to be logical. But to understand the beast number, we need to go through that same process of adding the numbers together until we get to the root number. So that will look like this. 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18. We must reduce it again until we get to the single digit. 1 plus 8 is 9. So here we can see that the number of the beast, when broken down, comes to 9. The same as consciousness, when in line with the divine. So where does this beast come from, and why are people afraid of it? Well, misunderstanding and lack of knowledge. I mean, that's really the only reasons. However, I do have some bad news for you. If you truly want to know who the beast is, go look in the mirror. You are the beast, and so am I. In fact, anytime any of us is out of alignment with the divine and we remain living in the carnal aspects of our being, our egoic nature, then you are the beast, because those qualities in ourselves are animalistic and they keep us further from God. They keep us tied to our animal nature, and another term for this could simply be Antichrist. We have this idea of what Antichrist looks like or means, but the truth is, every time we are out of alignment with our own higher self and our Christ conscious self, is that not Antichrist? Now, an easier way to digest this is, rather than picturing Satan as the ruler of hell with a pitchfork and burning, screaming souls everywhere, remember, we are animals by nature, even in our human form now. In the universal grand scheme of things, we're still fairly fresh out of the wilderness. So you can think of the beast as simply the animal nature or beast versions of ourselves. And once we overcome our very own animal attributes and we activate our energy or chakra centers to be in line with the universal spirit, then, and only then, can we figuratively reduce the number 666 down to the root number, which is 9, and dwell in the higher consciousness in line with the Creator? Meaning, when all of that happens, we are the opposite of Antichrist. Now, the Bible and other sacred scriptures are written in this cryptic format for a reason. The understanding and ears to hear is not for those who are not ready to understand. And contrary to popular belief, it certainly doesn't mean that by reading those words, it gives you the ears to hear. The allegory is that you will absolutely hear the words, but you will comprehend it not. Not all people are out seeking actual truth. In fact, many simply believe whatever they have been told, and they never even question any of it. A lot of times they've been told not to. However, more and more souls are ready for these deeper shades of truth. And when the time is right, every incarnated being will seek that higher knowledge that will help them along with their journey back home. Now, it really doesn't matter if they follow Jesus, Shiva, Buddha, Allah, a higher dimensional being, or some ancient spirit that lives inside of an old tree floating in the river. What does matter is that we do find our own path that will help us trek up the mountain of enlightenment. Now, with that being said, we should respect the journey of our fellow man and woman. We all have our own journeys, but we do need to stop allowing other men and women to dictate what we believe in our journeys. Stop giving your power away to those who you perceive know more than you, or even those who are self-proclaimed messengers of God. We are all equal. You do not need me or any other human to tell you what your truth is. They don't know, neither do I. I only know my truth. They only know theirs. So keep in mind that we are all a fractal of the same thing. And anyone who ever tells you that you need them or anything outside of yourself in any way to get closer to God is dead wrong. Now, as long as you keep that guideline in mind for yourself, it will be easier for you to navigate what is right and what is wrong for you. You have to step up, own it, and walk right into your own divine self. That's what I'm really saying here. I know I got off track. It happens. So let's close this discourse out on Revelations. You could probably make a lifelong series of Decoding Revelations alone. This is really like the tip of the iceberg. But I do hope it has been helpful, and I want to leave you with this. Another mention in Revelations is the Book of Life. It is stated that we don't want our names removed from the Book of Life. Scaring the hell out of people again. But it's not like God is up there judging us like Santa Claus with his nice and naughty list. It's just not how it works. But deep down, we do know the truth of this Book of Life. And that is exactly why when a major change happens in our lives, for better or for worse, what do we say? Oh well, on to the next chapter. My friends, we are writing the Book of Life every single day. You are the Book of Life. Your experiences on the journey, along with every other sentient beings, is the literal book of your life. So, go write a kick-ass story. Go experience all that is divine and beautiful and all that makes your soul sing. You owe it to yourself to discover your own revelation. And that revelation is that everything you are seeking for, you are already it. Start acting like it. So thank you so much for spending a few of your earthly moments here with me today. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you. Next Thursday's video will be a discussion and hopefully a new perspective of the understanding of the I Am presence, something very dear to my heart. We hear it often, and many have an idea of what it means, so naturally I plan to come in and shake things up with some new perspectives that are intended solely for the advancement of your soul if it resonates. If not, move on. But I will see you next week, and until then, I send infinite love and gratitude with wishes for a life full of peace, profound.